with man where Kutolo, commonly called Waka Dapipe. Morning, Mama.
Morning, my son.
Okay, you are here this morning. What a message you bring for us.
The message I bring.
Morning and welcome to DN News Online Television. We are here live in a conversation with man where Kutolo, commonly called Waka Dapipe. Morning, Mama.
Morning, my son.
Okay, you are here this morning. What a message you bring for us.
The message I bring, I want everybody to see me talking.
Okay.
That thing I come and tell you, it making me vex.
What is that?
I want to tell the Liberia people, all American people, who voted for Joseph Nyimabwaga, those that get on a ticket, they're doing bad. They're doing bad. Who put a man there and not even make money. That was 9 months here. Papa going all around to paying the people to come make development here. Want to bring the land money to give it to them to work, they don't want to do it. They can take that money, they eat it. They want the government to be ugly. I was here this morning to tell them. They're not doing well. They want to get a public pressure, but the pressure will go back in them. When I hear they can make baby here, you want the public to be baby, it will not be baby. You, the senator, the representative, the minister, you will do ugly things. I will tell public to fire you. Mingeles. When I hear they can make baby here. No, I go to telling you this morning. You start the corruption work to say, upon doing it, upon what doing it. Now, for the president there, you start doing it. The corruption where you say, upon what doing it, that you start making it. Somebody go take money to buy one car with a mirror. It's not supposed to be like that. Even the power west, the money they give it to them to fix the roads are not good. They're not the money they give it to them. They're not the way to do it. You start that corruption too soon. My people are too soon. You stop it. I want my papa come. Immediately, they call it people to have session with them. You will not wait. You know what way with the papa go sit down. Don't get in down. Don't get in pressure. You get in pressure when we will give it to you. The boy, the okay in the country, their country can be developed. Huh? We want the country to be developed. When they get the money to go sit down where they do that different way. And that's supposed to be like that. No, I go down talking to you today. Today the 16th, right? Today the 16th for October. I'm telling them, let them hear me advising them. You know what way where the Bible go sit down. It's too much. It's too much. No, I go down telling you, advising you. You're not hear my advice. Who will get you red card. You will go sit down. You want to get a Bible harder for waiting. We not even make money. Then I start taking the money buying people car with doing differently with and not let down. And I let that. No, I go down not let that. They statement and say, what can I baby? Who must do the baby and the child way? Who must do it? The person not baby. What can I child? She not baby. Come on, not made to be baby. You want me to be baby? It will never happen in the country. You will make the party to get pressure. The pressure will go back to you. You and your family are taking the money to eating it for waiting. The thing we tell this child we are that you're doing, and not even mom, and not even there, you start doing it. You start the corruption. When they get the money, you take it. You put it in use. I was telling you, I'm coming open farm to Benson face. I'm coming open farm. I want people to come there. My sambo is Wakana baby. Wakana child. I'm coming open a farm. Nana. My wife. Let us see our wife I want to make. We will get an election for the other days. But they get the money either. You're not doing it. The thing why they get the money, you're not doing it. You go take it. Go do your personal thing with it. We will fire you soon in the morning. Why? You can't listen. Why the country can't listen? It's too soon to eat the government money. Why? And then later, they want to get process to the paper. The process will go by here. I beg you. The man for the man worry. Look at it now in the country. That's only you looking for. No other assets that is saying, but they can say that they're all better. You know the
Wonderful, wonderful. What the best welcome. Let me see. So again, folks, a best way to welcome you. Yes, you know, sometimes we can say the young people are the one that sometimes behave some kind of way, but I think our mother. Yes. So I got to cut that part off. Yeah, you know, as soon as you start with that other talk, I got to cut it off because it's not what we want. We want to hear the message that she's been saying, and indeed, Waka not be. Well, that's very interesting. I tell you people that some of us want to live here. We want to live here and enjoy our life. Because let me tell you, whenever you think about stress and so forth, just come to Liberia, you'll be stress free. My brother will talk to me very soon. So indeed, first, let me welcome all of you. Yes, we had the video. Okay, so my brother, let the video continue. No wahala. So we're going to continue with the video according to the recommendation from one of our panelists.
when the father go red, come on, take them, man, and bring your mom away. I tell him, my son, bring your mom away. When you come from America, you're going to get rid of the poor eating the money. The way I tell you, Nana, come and open my farm. When the person gave me any money, I will put it in use. If I put it in use, they can't see my farm. See nothing there. I'm gonna be better for him. You must fire me. I'm gonna even go to a what? No one go to telling you this morning to tell the same for Ottawa. Representative, Senator, 5%, the 5% back. I get to him the video. The thing what I tell him to hear it. She's not doing nothing. And power. She's working. That was one when the father go red. I'm gonna take them back home and bring your mom away. I tell him, my son, bring your mom away. When you come from America, you're going to get rid of the poor eating the money. Your man, no one go to on the in a second today to talk to Liberia people. The poor now, they say, even they think when they pass them to where they feed it. They say the papa Sunday, that lie. Papa never stand out now. That talenting. Papa never stand there. The pastor them doing their own thing. But we'll get rid of them. We'll find that place. When Papa comes, let the change them. Because the ugly thing they bring in the country. And not later. So that I get the money to tell the people.
Yeah, so oh my God, you
Gotolo. Yes.
Sorry for making not see your name. Well, according to you, you say you are waiting on the paper. If you can, you will go to him and tell some of these things.
Yes.
So you came the paper.
Yes, so we now have to continue with everything, but because I understand most of the things, in fact, she just knew everything. So let me bring my workaholic panelist first before one of the surprise panelists who always been with us before bringing you on. But Mark, good evening and welcome. We'll bring that place.
What's up, Mebon? What's going on? Another day to be on Sktv.
We'll bring that place.
Another exciting day to be on
What's going on?
Sktv.
Another day to be on Sktv.
Yep. You hear me?
I'm getting you, but something is happening. So let me see how better.
Yeah, I think I was getting your feedback. I think I just took care of that. It was coming from my end, if I'm not mistaken.
I got it off. I get everything out already. Go ahead.
Tomorrow we are going to delve into that video in details because she said a lot of things. And it's just the common narrative in our bodily politics that people, I told you there are two people in this world. There are people who are interested in the facts. And there are people who think what they believe is the fact. That exactly. You see how powerful the media is? You see how powerful when you can control the narrative and when you can bamboozle people with information it is much easier for you to control them. And that's exactly what she was doing. She was literally agreeing with Yeke Koluba, but she don't want to accept the fact that Joseph Boakai himself is corrupt. That's something she would never. And the one that got me weak when she mentioned Jeremiah Kun and Prince Moe, that they should go after people that are corrupt. It like you've been living on a rock, because that's why she programmed herself into believing that they are the good people and the other people are the bad people. But we'll get into that hopefully tomorrow.
Yes,
I don't know.
and even though before we even go, maybe that you saying about tomorrow, but she even talking about the president son that thing. That man up people doing their own thing. In fact, we were burning down that place. Monk,
Yeah.
to hear old folks talking
Yeah.
about burning down the place.
Yeah.
Why will they come to your mind?
That's the country there for you, and the people who supposed to be leading the way that you think supposed to have more experience. I'm not blaming her. That's politics. She so believe in the Joseph Boakai and the rescue train that you could put the evidences on a billboard and she won't see it. So that's it. They got people who can brainwash themselves into believing what they want to believe or what they choose to believe instead of being interested in the reality. When you go further into that video, she's saying that it's too soon to start stealing, which is another way of saying that if you will steal, you should steal later. That's what she meant to say. And she said Yeke Koluba is a fool because he's one of those that dress the devil and trying to expose the devil, which is a contradiction, because everything that Yeke has been saying is exactly what she's saying. But in her case, she wants to remove the leg of Joseph Nima Boakai and some of the mean and notorious criminals in that government because she thinks they are our children, like my son, Prince Kemi Moe. When we've been talking that the budget was recorded illegally, that people change figure in the budget line by line, which is very criminal by law, but she still believes that Prince Moe is her son. So whether he does the wrong thing, she will not accept the fact that he's in the wrong. That's how some people operate. And she's not the only one, but of a large group of people. The same thing happened with seditions here. When we're raising the red flag on Sktv about those agreement that they were signing in Rwanda, or Zambia, in Lusaka, about the whole thing about their homosexuality and how they can polish their wash, even though they have some dubious motive. People never saw it, but no, they were the one protesting because they believe that CDC government in Georgia is bigger than Liberia. So even though the facts were there, these are things that we don't subscribe to, but no, they had to support it and turn a blind eyes or deaf ears to them because they support the candidate. But now these are the same people that are trying to criticize or trying to muscle out same-sex marriage in the country. But that's a country for you, Mabel. We will just do our best we can every day by informing the public, and we will live with the reality. There will be some people that will sign up. There will be some people that will be transformed. There will be people that will see the truth, that will stand up for the truth. The only thing is how many of them are out there when it comes to moving the country in the right direction, when it comes to the forward movement agenda of the country. How many people will see the reality and call it for what it is? Because for Noam Gotolo, I think she's a comedian. She's a joker. She loves the spotlight, but she's not interested in the forward movement of Liberia. That's just the reality.
Wonderful, Mark. Even though before we go to, before we go into our topic for today, let me say,
share the show, guys. Share the show.
Yeah, share, like, and comment, because let me bring on Cyrus Money over here with us. Cyrus, let me say good evening and welcome to the Sktv. I know it's been a little while now because you were, I think that was last month or month before last when we did interact on the show, but maybe due to some engagements, you were a little bit away and so forth. However, good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Mabel. Good evening to our Sktv follower. Still maintaining the statement that Liberian people are the most important people on earth, and Liberian women are the most beautiful women on earth. It's been a long time, Sktv people. Thank you to you. Thank you to CEO Mr. Cannon. Thank you to my big brother Monk and Steve for holding up, Sktv and providing credible and reliable information to the Liberian people as it has always been.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And even though we will dive a little bit into what will be happening back home before going into our topic for today, Mark, you care to tell us maybe some of the information that you maybe that you have in mind, especially when it comes to things happening around the world. Maybe you want to tell us before we go into maybe locally or before we go into our topic.
Well, nothing much happening, nothing new. The news have been consistent on the global stage. War in the Middle East, war in between Russia and Ukraine, NATO, and the former Soviet Republic. And we are a few days away from election, few weeks away from election. Today is the 16th in the United States, and I keep saying it, the two candidates are crisscrossing the battleground states because in America you don't campaign all 50 states. There are states that will remain blue, there are states that will remain red, but the one we call the purple state, we call them the swing states. These are the states that determine the outcome in America, and people are closing the gap, reaching to their audiences, their supporters, their constituents, and the folks that support them. So nothing out of the ordinary, and it remains like that for now until I guess the outcome of the U.S. election might also shift some of the global politics because when you see this thing happening, they got other countries around the world. They watch the U.S. election closely, and they got strategic interest. And some countries prefer that if one candidate wins an election, they will be more favorable to them in terms of policy, and that's exactly what happened. And so some of the global events they might end up subsiding the moment a particular candidate or the moment that the elections are over. You will see maybe some global activity shifting in one direction because there will be winners and losers no matter what. They got certain countries that support certain candidates that believe if that candidate wins, whether it's about trade agreement, whether it's about arms deal, whether it's about global power and their strategic interest as to which region of the world they want to dominate because we want a global chessboard, and that's just why it is. People want strategic interest. Now you got a Wagner group in Africa that trying to expand their influence. The same way the US trying to make sure that her oil supply from the Middle East, that the Middle East is stable because when it comes to energy, energy is the lifeblood of any industrialized country. Because all the cars that we drive here and all the machines and things that we run, they are being powered by either gasoline or oil or crude oil. So these things, they are major factor. Even the stock market. The issue happening around the world can affect the entire stock market. So we'll see by November, we'll know where the country is headed in terms of leadership, and then we'll see a lot of things taking a twist. Maybe we'll hope for the better in spite of who wins the election. So when we can get peace for me, I keep saying I'm for war peace. That's my number one view in this war when it comes to my global outlook on issues. Yeah.
Yes, before we come back home, with this issue of the robot things that happening, especially with you people doing your own, should I say, where you are now bringing out new robots, is that exhibition or what going? Because Liberians are worried. They are saying, "Well, what's going on? How come we now seeing things that are going to take job from our people on that side and so forth?" What you care to tell a little bit about that before we come back home?
Oh, when we came from the prehistoric man age, well, we came to something we came to slavery. What people don't understand, if you read slavery was just a way for labor. Because when you do economics in high school, they teach you about the factors of production, right? Land, labor, and capital, right? You can have the land, but you need people to come and plow the land. You need to make the most out of the land. And that's what slavery was mostly about. That was the primary objective of slavery. The powerful kingdom or the powerful rulers will go to smaller kingdom and capture their men and their women and turn them into slaves to come and till the soil for them to, to produce some economic activities. And after slavery, we came to something we call the Industrial Revolution, where we brought in machine, what we call mechanized farming, and where we started producing factories and things and started making stuff. And now from there, we came to something we call the dot-com boom, where we started taking a lot of our automation. We started going on the internet because when I can remember in 1992, in the early 90s, when we came with something we call the Mozilla Firefox today, that we call the internet browser. A lot of jobs were created by that. And when we went to the internet, so people tried to take some work and put it on the internet, letting the marketing, sales, customer service, or supply and demand, shipping product. It went to the internet. Now we are in the fifth industrial revolution that they call artificial intelligence. And expert analysts are saying within the next 10 years, 330 million jobs worldwide will vanish. They will cease to exist because of artificial intelligence. So we are in the fifth industrial revolution, and it's going to pose a lot of problems, not only for people in Africa, but the entire world, including the US. So I'm not saying it's all a bad thing, but there are some downsides to it when it comes to jobs, because jobs that you were depending on before, they will no longer be there. So we'll be competing for fewer jobs. For that reason, people have to switch to other skill set, whether it's about machine programming, whether it's about big data, whether it's about the Internet of Things. Yeah, there will be a lot of industry that will be created as well, but on average, more than 330 million jobs will be gone. And it will be a problem, most especially for Africa, because now when you got too many people chasing fewer jobs, the other people that will be laid out because artificial intelligence, they are coming to come compete for your little job. So the future, from what I see, is not looking great on the job front, because not too many people will become programmers, not too many people will learn artificial intelligence, not too many people will learn something called machine language or machine programming, and it will be a very tough thing because there will be fewer jobs and there will be more people chasing fewer jobs, which will make it more scarce, and it will be a stiff competition. Maybe I'm thinking about it, you get a little job in Liberia, and some guy who travel in the Western world have been exposed to manufacturing and machines and engineering, and he coming to compete with you. Who do you think is more likely to get a job? Who do
Seriously,
you
and
think is most
because
likely
there are
to
a
get
lot
a
of
job?
worries, because in fact we are even worrying more than you people on our side, because the reason is just even though I follow a lot of comics, posts, even from, is that Will Smith? In fact you are also talking about the safety even of the people that are going to hire some of the robots. But again, maybe one of these days we'll take time to talk about this thing, because some of our people back home, they follow it and they want to know more about that. That also bow down to what we were discussing on yesterday about education, because when you continue to focus on things that are already gone since 50 years ago, you still studying these things. Now we're talking about technology, and you are no, you are, in fact, you don't even have any even in each around technology. Then I mean you are already behind of what we are discussing. So thank you, Monk. But is there any other thing that caught your attention? Back home quickly before I go to Cyrus, then we play the video to start our show on today.
Not really, other than that lady that I just posted on my wall. I saw a video, and I think you make things explicit to me that I think she ended up losing her son from the LDA, and I saw that lady crying. It really broke my heart. But so far so good. I think they said the former EPS officers, I think they went to the Temple of Justice today. I don't know whether it was whether they went there for they won their, how they call it there, whether they were being compensated or they're expecting some form of a compensation or the benefits. But I saw police between the 15th, 16th Street area in Cinco today. They were all deployed at major intersection. So I don't know what was happening there, but that's the only thing I think that caught my attention from the local scene today in Liberia.
Well, wonderful. Cyrus, I know that you've been following some of the activities back home, especially on today. You care to tell us some of the things that caught your attention, if you care to tell us? What are some of the latest news?
For Liberia, maybe you and myself right in this country, you know how since the Unity Party took power, how times have been difficult, especially when it comes to the president travel. The president goes and comes back with nothing, and the challenges that are being posed to parents, especially schools are opening, and a lot of children will not be going to school this time around, this semester. We don't know what is going on. When it comes to businesses, we see that on the market, prices are increasing on a daily, and the challenges continue to increase and increase on the daily in this country. You and myself are not strange to it. We don't know what the Joseph Boyka government is doing. We don't know how far this is going to be. We don't know what's the remedy that is going to be put in place by this government, you know, to mitigate these challenges that the country is being faced with, especially when it comes to talking about the economy as well. I learned on the 20th of, I don't know, sometime in this month, the finance minister, who is Honorable Austin Kafwan, will be speaking to the nation as well regarding the economy, on the status of the economy. So maybe on there are series of challenges, since this government took power, and we don't know where Liberia stands as it takes now.
Wonderful. There are a series of challenges since the government took over, according to our panelist, Sarah Slemane. So those of you who just joining us, please share. Indeed, today's our topic is very easy. The west of Liberia, that one we will be discussing. We've been talking about this for a little time now. So we'll play the video, but before that,
the most
talk
about video.
Yes, indeed, wonderful. But there are so many things that are happening within a few hours with the Wakana baby video that some of you just watch and maybe listen to if you are finding us via the radio also. And also with the lady who also crying for a son that allegedly, though, she said our son was killed by the LDEA according to her, but investigation is still ongoing as to what really happened, what went wrong between the LDA officer and that of the boy, or maybe the victim that were allegedly killed by LDA according to our mother. So again, investigations still ongoing, but the latest news that have been circulating around the media that the LRA boss has resigned, and here and there, that has been flying around until the LRA people came up with their own release and said, no, our boss stay in tight. He's still working very strong. In fact, he's going to remain maybe until otherwise order. So far, so good, Mark and our people. These are new. But Mark, should we go now straight to the video?
Well, just before you show the video, I just wanted to reintroduce the whole topic for today because, our people have been talking about this whole thing about education. And we talk about education and jobs. We told our people that the essence of you going to school to get certain degree, the degree is not only about a piece of paper that is given to you, it's all about being trained in a particular set of discipline to be able to execute a task. That's why you get something called curriculum. The reason that it's called curriculum, certain people went and sat down and say, if Melbourne will be an accountant, he needs to be efficient in certain principles of accounting. If Cyrus is going to be an engineer, there are certain principles he should understand about engineering. That's how they come up with this curriculum, meaning they are training you to attain certain skills to be able to execute a job. So primarily, the number one reason you went to school is to earn an income to take care of your family. And if things are changing around the world or even in Liberia, then you must redefine what you are going to school for, because you are not seeing the job. There are people that have been in school or graduated from colleges and universities 10 years ago. They can't even get a job. So what makes you think if you go and plow that same trademark and go to that same school, what are you wasting your resources? I'm not saying you are wasting your resources, but it's something you got to do some self-evaluation. And we talk about a time in Liberia where we have factories that were manufacturing things, that we were a producer. We were not only a consumer. In Liberia, there were times that whether it was about shoes, whether it's about sugar, whether it's about glass, whether it's about tobacco, we were once a producing country, and it's not happening. So the question today was, and people requested for that video called "The Wealth of Liberia" that's been on the internet for the past 13 years, but apparently it just became mainstream because for me, I've seen it almost a decade now. But people have been demanding that we show this video because for the young generation in Liberia, they always believe that nothing good has been in our country. That Liberia is why they see today, they just believe that how Liberia has always been since 1822. And the older generation is saying, no, that's not the case. When we were there, we have vocational job. Our life was better. We were one of the best generations that came from that country. We have better education. We have better lifestyle. So we want them to come on the show today to call. Because for me, I wasn't born when Amy Toba was president. So in the 1979 up to 1980, okay, I would say that. So the older generation, the people that knew themselves, that saw a better Liberia, that got the experiences, they should be here today calling on the show to give their individual testimony of things that they experienced. So the question now is, because when you watch the video now, there are a few things that we need to answer. And we said, Milburn, I think you were one of those that started with this idea. The question is, can we recapture the magic of the past, whether it's the 70s, the 60s, the 80s, or can we say the good old days of Liberia are over based on what we are seeing? And another question is there a visionary leader in Liberia somewhere in the wind waiting? Can we Can we have another leader with a clear vision, with a clear mindset to make the country better? Or can we say 6 years from now, we'll be bringing another visionless president, another criminal that will come and rip the Liberian people of their resources? And that's why the show is all about today. And we'll be waiting to hear from the caller, but you can just roll the video and then we can start the conversation later.
Wonderful. So thank you, Mark. So we now showing the video.
Today, businessmen and investors from all parts of the world have discovered the commercial and industrial potential that is the wealth of Liberia, with a government firmly committed to an open-door policy and the principles and practice of free enterprise. Monrovia, capital city of Liberia. Its 150-year history reflected in a graceful cultural heritage. But a city as modern as today, the country having developed a fine balance between traditional African values and the modern way of life. Buildings steeped in the tradition of Liberia's rich history. Buildings reflecting the country's promise of a rich future, as with the imposing Executive Mansion, home of Liberia's President William R. Talbot. Buildings that reflect the civic dignity of the city, its commerce and industry. For the well-being of its people, the J.F. Kennedy Memorial Hospital, one of the finest in West Africa. Overlooking the city is the renowned Ducor Intercontinental Hotel, with a welcome for the visitor, one of the many fine hotels in Monrovia. Looking out across the Atlantic Ocean, the Ducor Intercontinental also looks out to one of the islands first sighted by those early settlers 150 years ago, Bushrod Island. Today, Bushrod Island contains one of Liberia's many industrial estates with a diversity of industry catering for much of the country's needs and providing exports, adding to Liberia's healthy balance, as with the soap factory. With an ever-expanding building and construction program, cement is essential, and this large cement works is situated conveniently close to Monrovia City. Serving the building industry, too, is a window and sun louver factory established by the Mesurado Group of companies, an entirely Liberian-owned enterprise providing employment for many hundreds of Liberians. Another Liberian enterprise is a paint factory, effecting even further savings in foreign exchange by having its own can manufacturing plant. Supplying all types of animal and chicken feed, the Liberian Feed Mill Company also advised farmers on the most suitable methods of animal feeding. And a grain and wheat milling plant near Buchanan supplies a domestic demand. The Liberian Development Corporation stimulates industrial investment and the development of existing enterprises, assisting investors to identify investment opportunities, taking advantage of the country's resources and market requirements. Tobacco is one of Liberia's developing industries, and utilizing the country's own tobacco crop, a cigarette factory produces brands blended to local tastes. Liberia offers the investor security, a low level of private and corporate taxation, and a balance of trade that has been favorable for 20 years. To encourage young farmers in this fast-developing industry, a tobacco experimental farm has been set up, looking into the most suitable types of tobacco for Liberia's ideal soil and climatic conditions, and teaching farmers to take every advantage of this valuable addition to the country's industries. President William R. Talbot is intensely interested in the youth of his country, but young and old alike are completely involved in the future of their country through self-help programs instituted by the President, when he himself created rally projects to undertake the construction of schools and hospitals and roads linking outlying districts, financed with funds raised by the people themselves without seeking outside aid. Rally time, a complete involvement of the people in their country's future. President Talbot himself also instituted a program of rehousing families formerly living in overcrowded areas. And on new housing estates such as Gardinersville and another named after the assassinated leader of the Guinea-Bissau liberation movement, Amilcar Cabral, families can be raised in pleasant, healthy surroundings, preparing for their inheritance, which is the wealth of Liberia. Realizing the importance of the younger generation in the future of his country, President Talbot refers to the youth of Liberia as his precious jewels. And here at the University of Liberia, these young people are able to acquire the higher learning required of them if they are to take the fullest advantage of the foundations laid down for them by today's leaders. With the importance of agriculture, the University of Liberia has established a College of Agriculture and Forestry, which, in addition to its academic importance, also serves as a major agricultural research center. The Forest Products Research Laboratory has a well-established nursery growing more than 20 different tree species to determine their suitability for large-scale commercial production. The Agricultural Extension Training Center of the college offers training from simple farming methods and management to crop physiology, and students are taught the importance of meteorology in good crop management. Animal husbandry is also of major importance, many of the country's cattle being supplied to a large meat packing plant to meet the increasing demand for frozen meat products. Oil palms grow profusely in Liberia, providing a cash crop income for smallholders and cooperatives, and students receive the benefit of research into this valuable crop. Palm kernels are crushed at modern oil mills, like this operated by the Liberian Produce Marketing Corporation, located near the port of Monrovia, where processed oil is stored to facilitate easy onboard loading. The Liberian Produce Marketing Corporation, a joint venture of the Liberian government with the East Asiatic Company of Denmark, buys much of Liberia's palm oil, coffee, and cocoa, maintaining a huge storage complex within the free port of Monrovia for shipment to all parts of the world. And in addition to direct buying and overseas sales, has vast areas of its own under cultivation, supplied by the corporation's own nurseries. President Talbot and his administration, aware of the great economic potential of the country's agriculture, has classified agriculture as the #1 priority in the National Development Program, which is committed to making the country self-sufficient in rice, the staple food of the population. Under this program, and with the ideal climate of northern Liberia, thousands of acres have been put under cultivation, producing upland and swamp rice for sale to the domestic market. Irrigation schemes have been constructed under expert guidance, and high-grade rice will soon be available to meet the demands of the country at reasonable cost. The Foya Agricultural Development Project, testimony to a far-sighted administration. Further to the south are the famous rubber plantations of Liberia. Cultivated by smallholders and large estate owners alike, Liberia is one of the world's most important suppliers of natural rubber. From the plantation, rubber is processed into either latex or crepe form and transported for shipment from the ports of Monrovia, Greenville, or Harper. Rubber, the wealth of Liberia. Timber, yet another source of Liberia's wealth. Liberia is covered with high forest containing more than 200 varieties of trees, offering investment possibilities in the wealth of these vast reserves of high-quality timber. From concessions in the interior, logs are transported for shipment to all parts of the world from the ports of Buchanan or Monrovia. The world-renowned free port of Monrovia, known to ships carrying the flags of many nations, either coming to pick up valuable produce or to offload cargoes in the free port area. The free port of Monrovia, the only duty-free port in the whole of West Africa, where cargoes can be transshipped or held in storage in the free port area, attracting no customs tariffs whatsoever, thereby cutting costs to the shippers of goods in transit. An area where frustrated consignments, while awaiting onward sale, are held pending transshipment to other destinations, all completely duty-free. The free port of Monrovia, gateway to West Africa. Also based on the port of Monrovia is one of the largest fishing fleets in West Africa, operated by the Mesurado Group and an important part of the country's economy. Reaching the fishing grounds, the nets are put out for the haul. And the fleet settles down for the trawl, each trawl taking about 4 hours. Day and night, every 4 hours, the catch is hauled in. Wealth from the land, wealth from the sea. And at Mesurado's own processing plant, each catch is cleaned and sorted within minutes of landing to be packed and frozen. Some of the finest shrimp in the world are off the Liberian coast, and every catch is carefully controlled and analyzed to meet stringent international standards for export to many parts of the world. Japan, a critical consumer, is one of Liberia's biggest customers. Tourists discover that there's more to see in Liberia, with more than 300 miles of some of the finest beaches in the world, fishing second to none, and hotels and restaurants offering a gourmet's delight with an international cuisine. Liberia's natural coastline caters for the children too. Every beach having a quiet, peaceful lagoon right behind the more boisterous sea, where children can swim and play in perfect safety. And where Dad can put his feet up without a care in the world. Beaches with romantic names like Caesars, Cooper's, Coles Beach, Sugar Beach offer weekend barbecues and beach chalets for a longer stay. And there's always plenty of local interest. Close by Roberts International Airport is Robertsfield Hotel on the banks of the Farmington River, and ideal for a stopover on arrival or before leaving. Just a short drive from Monrovia is the picturesque town of Robertsport, like Robertsfield, named after Liberia's first president. Robertsport, with a charm and culture all its own, with placid Lake Piso on one side and the Atlantic Ocean on the other, with a luxurious hotel overlooking the ocean and a favorite spot for out-of-towners. Safe for the children, ideal for water skiers or just lazing in the sun, more than 300 miles of palm-lined golden sands make this a tourist paradise. Visitors are entertained throughout the country by traditional dance troupes, the National Dance Troupe of Liberia having performed throughout the world. What visitor can resist the art of the Liberian carver? The traditional brass beater offers exquisite workmanship. But perhaps Liberia is best known for the delicate work of the ivory carver, famed and admired the world over. And for those traveling to other parts of West Africa, Air Liberia operates frequent and convenient scheduled and charter services. From Spriggs Plain Airport, located within Monrovia City, Air Liberia flies the Pepperbird route, named after the tiny bird found only in Liberia, to any of the country's many airfields. Convenient for the businessman in a hurry or the visitor wishing to see more of this fascinating country, like the awe-inspiring Nimba Mountain. Nimba Mountain, one of the largest iron ore deposits in the world, providing one of the greatest sources of revenue in Liberia's economy. Iron ore, together with rubber, represents some 85% of Liberia's exports. Drilled in shelf formation, iron ore is separated from waste material for processing. Waste material being returned for reclamation and transported in giant bulk carriers, each carrying a load of 110 tons. After crushing, the ore is transported to the railhead by overhead conveyor systems for railing south to the processing plants. At Buchanan, refining is carried out at one of the largest refining plants in Africa, where a high-grade ore is produced ready for shipment. This huge complex provides employment for many hundreds of Liberians, and similar to many others throughout the country, maintains a trade center for the training of artisans and technicians. Although Nimba is the largest, there are many iron ore deposits in Liberia, and ore from many upcountry mines is railed to the ports of Monrovia and Buchanan to be stockpiled ready for shipment. Giant mechanical grabs load the refined ore onto conveyor systems for loading into the special ore carriers that can be seen in Liberia's ports every day of the year. Iron ore, the wealth of Liberia. The wealth of Liberia. A complete involvement of the people in the future of their country. A future
Yeah, so you just watched one of the most fascinating video. So Monk, what's your say when it comes to this video, the wealth of Liberia?
Well, like I said, this video been on the internet for a while, and it just been
Yeah,
going mainstream. It went mainstream recently because a lot of people just got to know. For me, I watched this video. I would
as you
say,
talk.
oh, you
Yeah,
hear me?
so folks, you just watch the video and you see how industrial our country is. You saw the wealth of our country. The time the Liberians used to be trained, to lead their country, to work, to build the economy where Liberia was shipping, were exporting, all parts of the world. And the question that comes to mind is, why why is Liberia not on that same path? Why is it that our country cannot go back to that path? And all I can say is because we do not have patriotic leaders, we do not have leaders that have the country at heart. What I see that is destroying this country is greed, self-aggrandizement. All of the leaders want it for themselves. And that is the only thing we don't see. All the people Liberian continue to elect are people who are not visionary. Before you see our people will be trained. Most of the factories and most of the companies that are in this country, most of the industries, they were run by Liberians. These Liberians were trained to run this industry. And when the citizen is trained in a country to run whatever industry, you get to understand that the people of the country built the country. Because if Liberians are not trained and we have different nationalities in this country, if we have different nationalities in this country, like Ghanaians, like Nigerians and all of these people, when they are in this country, definitely the money will not be in Liberia. People will take the money out of the country because Liberia is not their country. If you have a Ghanaian man working in a factory here, you will definitely take the money back to Ghana. If you have a Nigerian man working here, you will definitely take the money back to Nigeria. But if we have Liberians who are trained like before, look at the beautiful Liberia. Where is Air Liberia today? How did Air Liberia leave Liberia? Where is the accountability and all of these things? You all watch the video.
All right, wonderful. Quickly, let me just go straight to Monk before we go for the news bulletin. Monk, this wonderful wealth of Liberia, all the time that people been requesting for back to back. Today we finally played the video, and I've seen tears rolling down from some of our followers, our viewers, so forth. So, as I take quickly before we go for the news break.
Well, at least our people saw the most talked about video and what that country used to be like. It had been 44 years. And we watched the video. It was one president that was in focus that was shown in the video. And that was Saspidi, that the Liberian police of call him. Some of them lived during his reign. Some of us, we heard about him and we saw the imprints of the achievement that he made because we were born after he was assassinated. But it tells you a great deal about the country. And the sad thing is, nothing has left that country. Everything is still there. But why is it that we cannot put them to use like the late President Tobo did? Look, Melbourne, we keep saying this stuff on the show. You talk about businesses and investors from all over the world coming to Liberia. We had a tourism industry, we had a manufacturing industry, we had research, we had or how they call it, the Raleigh Town project, wherein President Tobo said, "Oh, I will take people from on mat and put them on mattresses. I will increase their living standard." Why is it? Why these things are not happening today? If the same resources are there, look. Let me tell you. Just before we go to the news break, there was an article I pulled up from the Time magazine from 1973. The things that Tobo did for that country, the vision that he had, and the kind of step, the action that he took. Why are we not seeing it? Because 44 years is no small time. You're talking about little over a full decade. So we will get back in details when we come from the news break because I think it's just 1 minute to the hour. But our people can see it for themselves, and there is a lot to be unpacked here today on this particular program. And I will say again, our people should call the older generation, the 60, 70, or 80 generation, or they can call to throw some light on this thing because informing the younger generation is key. Our people need to know things that have been happening in that country. And the question remains, are the good old days over for Liberia, or is there a way that we can rekindle that magic of the past? I'm not saying things are going to be like the 70s again, but can our people get a reassurance that at least it's going to be better than what we are witnessing at the moment? And is there a leader somewhere in Liberia? I cannot tell. I don't have a crystal ball to tell you that this particular guy is capable of doing this or not. But from the Liberian people own observation so far, can they make the case, or is there a leader that they can identify that will be able to at least, I'm not saying bringing 100% of the magic back, because I know we live in a whole different era, but at least to put the country on the right trajectory? Can we look among ourselves and see if there is a leader out there that can rekindle at least 50 to 60% of that previous magic and make Liberia a better country again? Because the resources are still there. Everything is there. Nothing. Yep.
So let's go for the news bulletin. Will come because there are so many questions also running in my mind. I'm going to ask you. So please, everything come back. We're going to delve more into that. Thank you.
Good evening, RCI News Bulletin at 7. I'm Johnson Watoma presenting. In the headlines, Prison Fellowship Liberia appeals to national government for the reintroduction of patrol board in order to reduce the overcrowdedness at prison facilities across the country. The president of the Christian Association of the Blind commends President Joseph Walker for his support towards persons living with disabilities in the country. The Public Procurement and Constructions Commission launches a scheme aimed at digitalizing public procurements across Liberia and away from Liberia. A fuel tanker exploded one night in northern Nigeria, killing at least 147 people who rushed to the scene of the accident to collect leaking petrol, officers says. Those were the headlines, now the news in detail. Prison Fellowship Liberia has appealed to the Liberian government for the reintroduction of patrol board in order to reduce the overcrowdedness at prison facilities across the country. The country director of Prison Fellowship Liberia, Reverend Francis Collins, said the patrol board is part of the justice system under the arrest agenda of the Bwaka Kun administration. Speaking Wednesday to journalists in Monrovia, Reverend Kwali also appealed for the training of more defense counsels in order to meet the growing number of pre-trial detainees in prison. The Prison Fellowship boss said or noted that lots of defense counselors have transformed into other areas of the legal system, while others have abandoned the court for lucrative jobs. The president of the Christian Association of the Blind has commended President Joseph Boakai for his support towards people living with disabilities in the country. Biancota said just in 9 months, several training opportunities have been provided for persons living with disabilities in Liberia and the rehabilitation of some institutions. Kota made the commendation when he spoke at the program marking the observance of the International Workings Day organized by the National or Liberia Christian Association of the Blind along the Riverfield Highway. The program was celebrated under the theme using the working, meeting the needs, realizing the rights, and addressing the inclusive social and economic sustainability of blind in Liberia. The Public Procurement and Concessions Commission has officially launched a scheme in digitalizing public procurement process across all government lands, ministries, agency commissions, bureau in the country. PPCC Executive Director Porgy Scott Johnson said the launch of the initiative will bring about the introduction of digitalized procurement procedures at government institutions. Director Johnson spoke at the opening of a one-day procurement compliance requirements orientation and training for procurement practitioners, newly appointed and elected officials of government in Monrovia on Wednesday. According to the PPCC boss, at least 40% of the country's national budget is spent on goods and services, something he said the digitalization will help the government greatly in spurring their quest. Johnson added that such process is a good start for transparency and accountability in the public procurement sector. The PPCC Executive Director called on government agencies, ministries, and commission to submit their PPCC quarterly reports aimed at showcasing that the issue of transparency is at its best. Liberia's Art and Culture Ambassador Kekola Kamara had disclosed that his office, along with heads of creative industry of Liberia, has begun engagements in introducing the teaching of Liberian arts and culture across grade schools in the country. Ambassador Kamara lamented the leaders of the creative industry on October 15, 2024, had a fruitful meeting with the Deputy Minister for Secondary Education, Abbas Kanga, and some members of the ministry on the matter, disclosing the ministry willingness to work with them. The Liberia Arts and Culture Ambassador further revealed that the creative industry has set up a committee to work with the Ministry of Education on the teaching of arts and culture across grade schools in Liberia. This committee, according to Ambassador Kamara, will be headed by former Liberia Music Union President Eddie Gibson, working with the Ministry of Education in crafting arts and culture programs for schools in the country. At the same time, Ambassador Kamara further stressed the importance of teaching Liberian kids about their culture, thereby recounting on his days at the William V.S. Tupman High School, where he was taught Liberian arts and culture. The Township Commissioner of ODS Congotan, Edo Lahar, is admonishing Liberians to engage into volunteerism for the far march of the country. Commissioner Lahar wants Liberians to begin volunteering in every aspect in art, changing the country over time. This, he said, will bring about swift development. Edo Lahar therefore recommending the amendment of several existing laws of the country to meet current day's reality, something he noted is being practiced in developed countries. Speaking to RCI News when his office, in collaboration with residents of ODS Congotan on several former commissioners, Edo Lahar urged residents of ODS Congotan and Liberia alike to work together as a nation in tackling challenges faced by the country. At the same time, Commissioner Edo Lahar had disclosed the construction of the first ever administrative building in Congotan. According to Commissioner Lahar, the facility, when completed, will include a fire station or fire service station, even how the home of the commissioner, among others. If you are just joining us, please be informed that you are in tune to a bulletin of news from the News and Current Affairs Department here at the Renaissance Communications Incorporated. In more news, a pro-democracy group, InfoQuest Liberia, has expressed dismay over the current state of affairs in the country. The organization believes, as a government elected on the mantra of rescuing and ensuring that the rule of law is adhered to, has been characterized by alleged lack of transparency and mounting allegations of corruption. Speaking Wednesday at a press conference in Monrovia, the organization acting executive director Ezekiel Allen said, with 10 months into the Baka Kun administration, there are shake disparity between his promises and tangible actions, which has become increasingly apparent, thus causing a long shadow over future governance of the country. According to him, the administration, which came to power under the platform of anti-corruption, fiscal responsibility, and the slogan of no business as usual, has far failed to demonstrate the divisive leadership and transformative governance that Liberians were promised. He meanwhile calling on President Joseph Barker to take immediate action to rectify these issues and restore faith in his administration commitment to good governance. The InfoQuest executive director further stressed that there is time for plateau and empty promises has passed, noting that the action or inaction of the current administration will determine the country's future to accountability and good governance. And away from Liberia, a Ford tanker exploded overnight in northern Nigeria, killing at least 147 people who rushed to the scene of the incident to collect leaking petrol officers. The fire engulfed the overturned vehicle, which had been cordoned off by officers after a clash, the police told the BBC. About 100 other people injured in the explosion has been taken to hospital in the nearby village. Many have told the BBC. Officers have warned people not to approach the tanker after the accident late on Tuesday night, but they were unable to contain the growing crowd, said police spokesperson. That's the news bulletin. To end this news, a recap of our major developments. Prison Fellowship Liberia appeals to national government for the reintroduction of patrol board in order to reduce the overcrowdedness at prison facilities across the country. The president of the Christian Association of the Blind commends President Joseph Barker for his support towards persons living with disabilities in the country. The Public Procurement and Concessions Commission launches a scheme aimed at digitalizing the public procurement process across the country. And away from Liberia, a fuel tanker exploded overnight in northern Nigeria, killing at least 147 people who rushed to the scene of the incident. That's RCI News Bulletin at 7. Johnson Bantoma. Good evening.
Yes, indeed, with the news bulletin with Johnson Batoma and the very next news on the station will be at 8 o'clock on tonight, by which time we'll bring you 45 minutes of news coming from our newsroom, Truth FM 96.1, the Heart and Soul of Liberia. For matter of fact, Truth FM turned 19 years of existence, and they're coming Saturday. You're going to see, maybe so it means I tell them more now that maybe Saturday you're going to see me. I'll be playing football. Yes, indeed, I'll be playing football. Someone around me. Yeah. But so Mark, we're back after the news bulletin.
Yeah, we are back, and we're going to pick up the discussion from where we left it at. Thanks for the news bulletin as well. And we are back to Liberia, and we're back to the topic on the discussion today is mostly educational because on our
That's
education series.
so interesting
Yeah.
topic, man.
And,
I've been receiving
and
calls
the
and
people,
messages.
I'm saying all the calls, and people are giving a raving review from yesterday to today. Because look, Melbourne, if you
But
don't
please
study
support,
yourself,
your
you
support. This
yeah,
I think we
you must
really see. Go through a
yeah.
lot of time, making sure that we bring this thing out so that some of you can follow. This kind of thing when you come on, you start to support. That people can do. You go do research, more do research, do more research. Thank you, more.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's it. And tomorrow will be Friday again. We'll be looking up to then if they want this information to keep coming out and for our people to be informed, not only informed, educated, and being entertained as well. Then you must support the SKTV platform. Make sure that the SKTV platform is always up and running. But Melbourne, back to the topic. I think you saw the video, and the rest of the audience here saw the video. We don't need to expand on it. You saw everything that been happening to that country from an industrial zone to factories and manufacturing, shoes, rubber. You even as far as lobster and crawfish, we were once I won't say a great nation, but we were a thriving country. We were a thriving nation in the West African sub-region, and to some extent, even Africa. We went to international treaties. We were major signatory to international laws and conventions. So if you are a young person like Liberia, maybe you're in your early 20s or your mid-20s, or let's say 30s, because looking at the 90s and upward, Liberia was there before. It's not what you see. Ayapo talking. The first time we have there, like, who told you that? You don't know. And this is why the video.
Yeah, so we sincerely apologize that Monk was kicked out. I don't know for what reason. But again, Cyrus, just listen to Monk, even though we were trying to, something is happening. But go ahead, Cyrus. Okay, I get it.
Yeah, so folks, you watch the video. The thing is, like Mon said, none of these things are missing. I mean, like Liberia is a wealthy country. We all see it here. When it comes to iron ore, timber, rubber, and all of these things, all of the natural resources we have in this country here. The question is, why is it that the country is not going forward? The country is not going forward because we have a lot of greedy leaders, a lot of greedy politicians. The people continue to elect the people, the visionary, greedy politicians. So obviously you don't expect Liberia to go forward with the kind of bad leaders. The people who do not even have the country at heart. The people do not care about the country. They only care about what what they can benefit for themselves and their family. So you don't expect Liberia to go for. Let's look into the society. Every other year, we have students coming out of university. People are graduating and they are going to sit down with no extra skills. Imagine we got university students who do not even know how to boost a computer. That's how that how disgraceful it is. That's how we have visionary leaders. People do not care about the country, and the Liberian people themselves are the problem. So nothing is absolutely lost. All of the resources that you see, they are still here, but it's just few group of people, few handful of people. You will see them. They will continue to fight good system. They will continue to fight people who come to a vision because they continue to enjoy that clique. They continue to enjoy the wealth of the country. It's just a clique, and they want it to be a cycle and a generational, something. That is why you see the country is leads to where it is. But we still have all of the natural resources in this country here. Like Mon said.
Wonderful. So I just want to ask a question quickly, then I'll go back to Mon because Mon were talking when you were kicked out of the system. But again, Cyrus, some of these things happened between the 60s and 70s, and entering into 80, there were a lot of, some would say, discrepancy, misunderstanding, and so forth. But again, when we want to blame people, who do you think we should blame? The politicians or those people who come and brainwash our people? Or who do we blame? Or should we blame the people themselves?
Maybe
Well, you explain. Oh, go ahead, Cyrus. Or you asking me, or you asking the other Cyrus?
Yes,
Go ahead.
both of you.
No, you can go ahead, man.
Yes, go ahead,
Memo,
tomorrow. Yeah.
the only reason we studied the past so we cannot repeat the mistake of the past into the future. I hate shifting blame, but there were also people that were responsible for that. The same politicians, these same liars, one group of people that the people that call themselves the so-called progressive that came and brainwashed our people into believing that there was certain elite in our society that were taking all the resources and that they were corrupt. But over time, we got to know who is even more corrupt, whether it was those elites, very few people, maybe 5% of the entire population that they claim were enjoying all the wealth. I know from my little understanding, from my little time on this planet, that even though those conditions persisted, but we were on a march as a country, that people that were not part of the elite starting to see the light, were making progress, and that over time, everybody was going to be a beneficiary of the system. But you know what? Politics will always be politics. I'm not here to shift blame. My thing here is the reason we are struggling. It's been 44 years since William Haratoga Jr. was killed. And we've been struggling. We've been struggling. We are not getting back to where we used to be. The fact is, nothing is missing in the country. The potential for tourism is still there. The soil is still there. We got one of the best soil in West Africa when it comes to rainfall. We are not lacking of rainfall. We got the 300 miles coastal land, or coastal land that's still in the country. The iron ores are still there. I told you I was reading an article from the Time magazine that was written since 1973. And can you imagine the Wologizi Mountain? Do you know how much William Aratoba Jr. was negotiating for to exchange that Wologizi Mountain? It was $700 million. So what I did, they get something they call adjustment for inflation. I converted $700 million in today's money because every year we experience inflation, right? You know how much that came out to in today's money? $5.6 billion. But yet you got people who want to mortgage our resources for less than $2 billion by giving away that mountain. So, like Cyrus Manning said, it's about leadership. It's about vision. If you don't have a vision, my brother, you don't know where you are going. And when you don't know where you are going, you don't know who to put on your team to make you to achieve that particular end result or the kind of a vision you're trying to achieve. And I think it's been the problem. Maybe I would say, Madam Salim, I would say, even though we can't give her all the credit, at least you were able to come and stop the bleeding. There are a lot of good things that she did, but people thought that she would have done more based on the resources at the time that came to the country. But since then, my brother, even before the Samuel Doe administration, people say, oh, Samuel Doe, but I said, no, Samuel Doe only inherited a plug and play system. If Samuel Doe was to take that country from scratch, he wasn't going to do anything because he came and met a fully functioning society. So it was easy for anybody to just come and just pick up the slack. So I don't think he was a great president, but that whole thing from William Aratoba is kind of a rollover to do. But then going to 1985 and 1990, that's when the political turmoil started. And since then, Liberia have never rekindled that magic from the Tobo administration. And up to now, we keep getting worse. Maybe in life, you expect to make progress over time. In our case, we keep going backward as time goes by. It's the opposite. You know, you go to a community.
And the question here, Mo, is that I agree with you, but then by that time, the government once upon a time used to send some young folks outside for training. Am I correct?
Oh yes, teacher
Good.
training, student exchange, and all those stuff will happen in the country.
Send it outside of even Liberia, right? With the letter of Baka, Matthew, and the rest of the other folks. But then when they came back, I think they start to brainwash the people, make it look like, the government was not doing anything good than what we are even experiencing today. Because mind you, today we are also into some of the same thing where there are good things happening, but there are also bad things happening. But the bad things that are happening, they are always into the media cycle. They're not the good thing. Even, but I'm just trying to carry our minds back because some people will want to know as to how do we derive at this point?
Well, maybe before Cyrus and Manik are coming and you just need it. It's all about the narrative. It's about brainwashing people. That's why you see education is very important. The same politician or these so-called progressive that claim that they knew, or that's why we keep talking about education. Education is not only coming to a classroom and just taking information. Because these same guys that came overseas that travel halfway across the globe, yeah, you came to America and you think that because you got some little piece of paper you call degree, you think you can go by and run a society. No, it takes a particular mindset, it takes a particular skill set, it takes certain ingenuity for you to be able. You have to have some level of experience in running things. You don't just come and sit in your college and believe that because you read a couple of books within 14 or 12 months or 18 months, you think you can go back and take over the reins of a country. That's what's suffering our country today. You got people who come here, you have no single job experience, you in your early 20s, and you think you can go back to run a country. How do you take a country to be? You have no idea or industrialization. You never ran anything in your life. All you did was to sit in your classroom and you call yourself an advocate because you came to America, you read you spent a couple of semesters here, maybe on average between 16 to 18 months, and you think you can go and run the affair of millions of people. And that's what got us here today. But like I said, the older generation, the people that have experiences during that time, that lived through the 80s, the 70s, the 60s, maybe some of them were born in the 60s, and they were a little bit mature, and they saw the impact of some of President Tubber's policy. They should be the one calling here today to inform and educate us and the other younger generation that follow after. That's why we'll be
wonderful. So follow-up question quickly before I cross over to Sarah Mann, then we'll go to the line to get the views of our people. Some of these people that were part of the quote unquote the old, some would say the olden good days, they are also seeing into our generation. And in fact, some of them they are also into leadership. But then they are also doing some of these things that they also talk about, they also preach against, that they also fought against. So, Mom, do you see anything like lack of sincerity, maybe? Because mind you, Senator Prince Johnson, even in that video recording where you catch up the late Samuel Kayando, I know you were talking about something around 500 USD, when the people money and so forth and here and there. But he also invested more than even when you even careful.
Yeah, for sure. And the truth, that's over time. You can hear me? I'm getting some feedback.
Yeah, I think coming for you. I don't know what you have. All your guys, I think you coming.
Yeah, I got two gadgets here, and I think I gotta shut them down because the connection. Oh, hold on.
Yeah, I think you got two. So that go. I know the other one is active. Are you there? If they want to active, then maybe remove the one. Monk, go ahead. Well, okay. So yeah, so Cyrus, go ahead and yes, the same question to you. Yes. Oh, sorry. Yes, Cyrus is mute because they see feedback. Yeah, go ahead, Cyrus.
Yes. So when it comes to the question you ask, let me tell you, Mabon, I think part of the problem too, the younger generation are part of the problem. Because if I would tell you that, why I say that the younger generation, you and myself were not in those days. But maybe there is something that people we call common sense. Common sense tells you that there's a fire here, maybe. And when you put your hand in a fire, the fire will definitely destroy your hand. That is the common sense of every human being. You don't have to live in the 60s or the 80s or the 70s before you know that you're supposed to go to school, you're supposed to be well trained, you're supposed to have a job, you're supposed to have a family, and you're supposed to live and make a contribution in the country, in a society as a human being. That is a common sense. So when it comes to all of these things of brainwashing, our society, we understand that Liberia were into civil war, 14 years of civil war. We understand that Liberia is not the only country. Let's go back to Rwanda. But today, see Rwanda. Imagine Rwanda were in genocide. So maybe part of the problem is the young people, our people, the young people who claim themselves to be smart, to be into the advocacy work. And when you get to understand that people start to advocate, the moment they get something, they feel very complacent, and then you see that they join the other clique.
So are you telling us that most of these maybe advocates, they are not sincere?
But maybe how many advocates have we seen that is sincere in this country? How many of them? They only try to, you see them advocating. The moment they get what they want, you see them they pull back. And if they don't get what they want, you see them coming back to the Liberian people. So the Liberian people themselves is a problem. The young people, especially young people, nothing pisses me off, neighbor, as compared to the young people who claim that they are smart, they are going to school, because education is there to refine people. You can't tell me that you're in university, you're trying to refine yourself, and you allow another person to blindfold you to do the wrong thing, or to continue to make continue making uninformed decisions, and continue seeing that the country, is going backward. And to address what you said regarding people who are living in the 60s and people who are living in the 70s, in the early 70s, who saw some of these things. We have some of the elderly people, especially the video you're watching. The elderly woman, she's an elderly woman, but you see that she said Baga is the option. And you see her telling us that Primway and her son, she's telling us that Primway is better than the Andrew Snow. But Primway and Andrew Snow, they are all hanging out. So what's the difference? The people, even the people are the problem, Mabel. Continue to make uninformed decisions, continue to elect the same very corrupt leaders. So this is the problem in
The
this
people
country.
are the problem because, why, according to him, they continue to elect the same corrupt leader. So that means, Sabbath, before we go over to your namesake or Monk, that means the entire corrupt leaders that you are talking about started between 1980 upward. Am I correct?
Definitely.
Wonderful. Monk, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay,
Oh, today
I
I'm still working things here, and for our international audience or callers, today will be a very tough thing because the number that they used to call, looking at my senior brother here, senior pundit, Jimmy Eastman, he asking for the number, but then the phone that I'm using now to be on the show is where the number is. So I'm trying to get my other device situated so I can be able to take some calls because the likes of Jimmy Eastman, the likes of Melvin DeShield, Mr. Marlowe, these are the guys will be waiting to hear from today. They are more experienced. They lived that life. They were part of the system. And we want to hear from them about this issue. And what was the question again, just because I was just pushing back and forth?
The question is about where are we now as people? I think Monk is out again. Monk, I think, don't take off, Monk.
No, I think you can hear me now, right? I just switched to the other phone.
Yes, indeed, you are loud, you are clear, and everything. So the question is about where are we as people, because the corruption thing started with some of the brainwashing of our people. People come maybe after a few studies that you said, when they come down, they feel that our people are not educated, so they want to use their little experience to brainwash them and put them against each other.
Where we are today is like a laughing stock. We were respected before among the communities of nations, especially in Africa, mostly in West Africa. There were people who lived during those times that said people like the Ghanaians, the Nigerians, they used to come to Liberia instead of better living. At a certain point in time, there were jobs that the average Liberian couldn't do, and people from other countries were availing themselves for these jobs. So 40 years later, to see the legs of Ghana going to, let's just say, on their march to being a male income country, and improving by every measure and every standard, and you see Liberia, we are almost like a prehistoric society that everything is falling apart, every institution is being broken down, that we're more of a laughing stock, and it came from the older generation as well. They will partly be blamed for that. Melbourne, that's why we keep talking about people weaponizing their education. They got people who were greedy, they got people who believe that the top of administration was corrupt, but equally so, every administration after President Trouble, they became even more corrupt. So the question you ask yourself then, why you kill Sir Speedy in the name of corruption when in fact you are getting worse off? And the only question I keep asking the older generation, and Cyrus just said it as well, my question here is, if you are not making progress 44 years after Trouble, if you cannot even give me, I didn't live during Trouble administration, I wasn't born by then. If you are telling me that this man was corrupt, and the people who lived during his time were saying that the country was far better off, and that I read about that, I saw a portion, I saw some of the imprint of William Aratobo. My question is, if you cannot give me the same result of a guy who you claim to be corrupt 44 years after, then you are more than an idiot. And that's why they think about visionary and innovation come in. You say, okay, maybe the last time I checked, Tobo never had a master's degree or a PhD. He just
No.
had he was just an industrialist with practical mindset about getting things done. That's why I say whether it was the leg of Sankara and other African leaders, they were not the most educated, but these guys were able to give us results that we have never seen before in our lifetime. My question is, if you are claiming you are educated today, you have more knowledge and more wisdom, you are privileged to more information than any other thing, you live in the age of technology, but you cannot give me 50% of the result that God gave us 44 years ago, then how can I consider you? How can I even make an
Wonderful.
argument? So that's it, my
Wonderful.
brother.
Yeah, so how can I console you? That's the talk from my colleague, my brother. Sorry again, if you okay.
Oh, the
So I
CEO
think
show
we're going
face.
to, I was thinking we're going to the line of the bigger calls. You need to check up, and I see some. Yeah, Seku, good evening and welcome to the show.
Yeah,
welcome you.
I've been enjoying the show so much. I didn't want to come on, to be honest. I just want to be listening. But Monk talk about, his ability to take calls was not too good.
Yeah,
So
man.
let's keep the rescue Monk.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
thank
that's
you,
great.
thanks for showing up because I've been
Yeah,
receiving a lot of calls and inbox. Like people really want to call from the US and other parts of the
Yeah,
world. So thank you.
So I'm not here to actually say anything. What I will do, I will provide the numbers and then I will be available to take calls.
Wonderful. Thank you. So let me take calls now from Liberia. Then we'll get
By the way,
10 minutes.
Saros money. I'm enjoying you.
Thank you, Tio. Thank you.
Yeah. They not pay fun. They might pay fun to me today, don't they? Go. Let me get the line, people. So let's call. Good evening. Hello, go ahead.
Hey, good evening,
Yeah, my brother. Go ahead. Your name and from where you join us?
I'm listening to you from the Vision 15 Fire Sunday. Thank you for the show for the 2 days. I've been enjoying the show. I want to hear a question. I'm an older man.
Okay.
But you see, during the past and the present, you say, well, youth, well, older. For a certain group of people or leadership that were in power from 1822 or from 1847 up to 1980, they can govern well. I'm not calling crap. I'm not calling nobody. And those groups, they can govern well. They do everything orally. When I was small, people used to leave from our country to come to Liberia before they can travel. So Union used to come to Liberia, they buy goods. The Guineans, they used to come to buy goods. They tell hey, we had a flour mill, we had a milk factory, we had a chicken soup factory, we had a Laranco, the silicon factory, we had all factories. You understand? Those things are no more.
So you think what's the cause? That's the question. Is that greed? What? All right, it's still up. The lines are blinking. All of my phones are ringing. So this call, good evening.
Yeah, Milgon, this is Brown here.
Okay, wonderful. Go ahead, Uncle.
Yeah, the 11th thing you and Mon and Sarah have been listening to you guys, and let me thank you so much. Fiku, you know, one of the things that is helping us, I mean, you laid the groundwork for in the 60s, even during Tottenham era, before Togo War, the kind of transformation that we saw. And the guy who just left the land, you know, when leadership feel that there's a stability in their ruling, they tend to give out. They tend to give out to the country. But when people feel that there's no stability and there's this kind of vicious cycle leadership, when you get there today, politically from there, the other political, then everybody put a hand on desk to crap. Then they're not really planning for long term, or reward. So, say for example, Rwanda, where Mo was just talking. Rwanda, Paul Kagame know after the war, he got a hand on desk, hand on leadership. Up to now, he stayed there. So he had a long term leadership that he envisaged, and he's doing everything to make sure that even before he leave in the future, people will look by and say, this is his legacy.
Oh, thank you.
For us. So for me, I just see as a young people, and coming from out of war, you see, people were struggling for job, they were divine job.
So how long you think that it would take us to get back on course?
Yeah, so you see where we miss out, but we just have to try because there's some stability now. During early time, early would have been well intentions. Because the war came to our aid, cancel our debt, So she was well on course.
All right. Thank you.
All the time in theory, all kind of, get grab and go. So these are some of the situations. So any leaders coming after now, they want to get grab and go. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. The other lines are blinking. So let me see who they are on the other line. Today's caller, good evening.
Good evening. Good evening to the listening audience. My name is Matthew Ture, and I'm calling you from Obokawa, Great Lake Community.
Yeah, go ahead, my brother.
Well, thank you for the topic on the discussion. But for me, I disagree with the brother that said that the people get a problem in your country. We the citizens, we the electorate, we that can vote there in the ring and the song and vote. They're not all get a problem in your country, for me. The leaders themselves, it is the leaders that have this problem. When people trust you and vote you and give you power, you should know that it is because of the confidence and the trust they have in you that they have voted you and give you that power, so you should work to satisfy them. You see, how can you say that we the ordinary people get the problem when our not in the money, we're not controlling resources? The fact that will make it like every million country better.
You're not controlling security. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. You already said it. You people are not the problem, according to you. Today's caller, good evening.
Yeah, good evening, neighbor. Jesus is my rejoicing and I join the conversation from Obokawa.
Go ahead, Madra.
Yeah, I listen to the conversation, right? And for me, most often I hear people try to compare Liberia, normal day Liberia with now, and they always make it to appear like normal day everything was okay and things were fast. So I always ask this question: if people say normal day everything was okay, why would for one just okay? The people clean at that time, everything was okay. People were educated, people were reformed, people were okay. Why we for war? I said to you, the Ghana and other era people praising, at that time we were not born, the leaders, before other leaders now, they let the former today, that the former the people going back.
So I ask you the question, what war has to do with whether the play is better or not? Some people, the play can be well developed and people can fight war. For example, Ukraine.
What I'm saying, the reason why we fought war there, if you look at Liberia problem, I can tell you, send a country was fun. Look, Liberia, they don't have to do things the right way. They want to hear the independence of God. We rush together, we did not wait. This is why we all be aggressive. Then we can understand that if you want to, anything you not do properly, they are not done at all. There was a mistake on the foundation of this country. We got to realize that and see how we can put our hands together. Because, and I want to ask my brother in America, time for election, you have to list all the people who know what are corrupt, so you can tell who to put. Every day I will say, we don't want to get corrupt people. Who in the country not corrupt? Don't show one individual account for heavy, or because you can be good, but the people you get in your surrounding. In the past election, other people saw they were good, but they had criminal were around and supporting at the end of the day, even the win, it will be the same thing. So you're pretty sure all the good people, so we can know all the people.
All right, when that time comes, we will discuss Liberia election and that.
So neighbor, when are you going to start taking calls from here? Because those calls are taking too much time.
Yes, indeed. So I think you're right. So you go ahead. Yeah. So you go ahead. Go ahead and take calls from
here.
You see?
You want to take calls from here too?
Well, yes.
Okay. This person been on hold for a little bit. The number is 9717. What is your name and where are you calling from, caller? Hello?
Hello? Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, what is your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, hello, my brother. This is Jimmy. Jimmy Easton. I'm calling from Washington, D.C. How you doing?
Walaikum salam. How you doing, my brother? I'm good. How are you?
Very good, very good. I'm going to be trying to be quick as possible.
Go ahead.
The first thing is we cannot compare Liberia prior 1944 to later. Before 1944, Liberia was almost like Pupu Plateau, of a slave country. They didn't recognize us. Even Haiti, that fought for the independence for France, they defeated Haiti. They say, you will put you under. Since you think you first came, we'll put you under. So before 1944, African countries were colonized, they were not considered. But after 1944 now, we have a system that didn't allow everybody to run for president. And that was a bad thing. So in 1980 came this thing, we got to get rid of this system. Anybody can be president. Anybody's supposed to have that ability to be president and have the right to vote. So they had to get rid of that. But what happened when they got rid of that? They allowed incompetence to settle in. If you know what incompetence does, first of all, incompetent leaders make poor decisions. And they look at their own personal interest. Incompetence creates corruption and mismanagement. That's what happens. Resources that should be for public services, education, siphon off for personal gain. Incompetence creates weak institutions. Effective leadership builds strong institutions. Why? Because the institutions are necessary to push the country. We're talking about judiciary, we're talking about law enforcement, we're talking about education. You need strong institutions to push that. But when you have incompetent leaders, they're not pushing that. Innovation and entrepreneurship. If you try to go to Liberia even today, what happened? They stop you. You can't go. They will keep you away.
My man, I thank God you say you're going to be short.
Yeah. So
okay.
So okay. When we allow incompetence to take center stage and we indulge it, then we keep grow. And once we get along, we make up our mind that we will not encourage, we will start solving our problems. Okay? That's
Thank
what
you.
has happened.
Thank you.
Yeah, Sekou, I got Mr. Maulo on the phone from my end here. I'm just trying to hook it up, but
That's
maybe
fine.
you can. All right, Mr. Maulo, you can go ahead. You're live on Sktv.
I do have another person on hold, but go ahead. And you know what?
Hello, gentlemen. Listen, I wanted to, chip in on what's going on here. The young man who came home just now, he said everything was all right while we fought war.
Yep.
We fought war because we were stupid. That's why we fought war. The first thing is, no country is completely all right. There is always some problem as long as you're dealing with human beings. But the majority of the things, if they're moving in the right direction, we consider that country all right. Liberia was doing fine. And we must talk about the whole issue of so-called democracy or multi-party democracy like Jimmy was talking about. Look, some countries shouldn't be voting. They should have a one-party state of monarchy. And that's the plain truth. Look around Africa. Or look, let's take it to Africa. And the countries that got one party and monarchy, they are the most stable. Because that's who we are. That's who we are. We believe in that kind of order. This multi-party democracy was not meant for us. The people who wrote their stuff said it was for a people of at least 75% literate or literacy. We got 80%, 90% illiteracy. And then you want to practice the same thing and you expect it to go fine? It will not go fine. We're going to answer your question. Why are we here? We are here because we allow ourselves to be duped by a bunch of hustlers who came home and figured out a way to excite the masses of the people the wrong way. They wanted power, they wanted money. They achieved nothing. But they came home and wanted everything and couldn't wait. They finally got the power in 1980 and knew nothing to do with it. And this is why we're here. The effect is still happening today. People wanted power that they were not trained for, they were not ready for. Look, I can tell anybody, going to school is good, but you don't learn squat in school. It just say you can think at a higher level. You got to finish school and get experience. All this master and PhD, somebody getting master in a place where you're still using books that are 20 years old means you left the high school student. So the program out the cancer, and that means they got master, they got PhD in what? And what's your experience?
Okay, Mr.
So we gotta be logical enough to understand what we want. We had this election coming. You had a coming. You had you had a Joseph Walker. The most competent among them, the people say, oh, he's not popular. The people ain't know him. This and that. And then we're sitting down here crying today. And then you ask why we're here. We're here because we're stupid.
Okay, Mr.
We let the same group of people fool us year after year. And we keep on doing the same thing. Yet we want things to get better. We don't think about our children. We don't think about our future. We don't even think about where we are now. We just want to please somebody, please some people who have specialized in conjoining the masses of the people to run behind them.
All right, Mr. Marlowe.
The masses sit down and look at the lives of their children and generations to come and say, is this where I want my children to be tomorrow?
Thank you.
We're not going to change. We're going to keep on voting the same way and getting the same result. Liberia is good. Liberia can be better. They got competent Liberians who are sitting there. But you, the masses, will say, we don't know where they're coming from. And the man can't eat cassava on the street. You know how to eat color. Joseph Walker, you say you didn't color somewhere? You say you didn't cassava somewhere? Is that what you want your president to be doing?
Okay.
Right.
Marlowe, let's wrap it up.
For the country and stop playing around with your life, thinking that this whole election business is for dancing. Because your life is being destroyed every day that it lasts.
All right, Mr. Marlowe. Thanks for the time.
So to all the
these things happen in Liberia, and it can happen again if we get the right leader.
All right.
Thank you so much. To all the callers.
Yeah, we want to go. I have 10 more minutes to go, so we need
yeah.
to
So
let
me say this.
While we're on the radio.
Mabon, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm hearing you loud and clear.
All right. So to all the callers, please limit your time
to a minute, at least
30 maximum.
30 seconds.
The reason why we can cut you off, we respect all of you guys, so we can just leave you talking and just cut off. But when we say thank you, it means that you got to wrap up. That is smart way of telling you enough, so we can give chance to other people to come on. All right. So let's take this caller right here.
Yeah, and that's the thing, you're right.
Caller, last four digit 9893.
Yeah. Seko, is that me talking to?
Yes. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is James Walls, calling from Minnesota. I want to say thanks to the Sktv, especially Monk and Maypal. They've been holding things down. My second time again on the Sktv. The topic is very interesting. You see, I wanted to say two things, but you just, take our time for it, but no problem.
Because the thing is, I want you to say something while you stay on the radio. When the radio is off, then only those on the dashboard will hear you.
No problem. We'll check on more number after. Okay.
Okay. You'll come on number after with the show finish.
I think the topic is interesting, and looking at the video you guys just played, look, I don't like it right now in my heart. I just wish I was in existence by that time, But like Mom say, for every, every good thing you might have, the fault coming from one side too. So I would say this: people were asking, what's the problem? How can things come back together to be the same? I say things can come back to be the same or depends. I think the power, like the Constitution said, the power is inherited in the people. Until we, the Liberians, can realize that we have the power to petition our government, we have the power to tell them this is not existing on our those laws that was in existence that was governing the government was the laws at that time that was according to the day-to-day activities. The current realities that we in the modern life, we need to petition our government.
Thank you.
We need a referendum in the Constitution. We need to change some things in our laws, and we need to hold our legislature accountable
regarding to most of those things that they put them to benefit just themselves. But not go further to cut it short. I think we need to stop waiting for a hero, somebody to call a hero before.
Thank
we
you.
need to wrestle in the last number and do what we gotta do because we have the power. Thank you.
Yeah, we got Mr. Kanye, I got Mr. Dishi on the line here from the WhatsApp from Belgium. So I think you can. Yeah, my
I'm
phone.
gonna call it, but just get him first.
All right, Mr. Dishi, you can just wrap it up real quick. I mean, now that you're on the radio, so we can pick up from that end.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for the acceptance to voice my opinion on what I saw today. That tape was very memorable tape. I wish most of the legislators, the people in government would look at that tape, because I believe that many of those that are living right now that are in government never knew about the free port of Liberia. They didn't know that we're exporting shrimps. They didn't know that we're making our own cigarettes. They were not aware of us making our own sneakers in Liberia. Now, the progressive, as you are talking about, I think you made certain point, even Mayborn, about the changing of the mindset of the Liberian people, the danger that we're into right now. We are all hoping and pushing for the best, but I don't think that we're going to come back to it. The reason is that the mindset of the people have been damaged. Since the war. People coming to Liberia, I remember in Sinka, the generals telling the soldiers that any house you see is your house. And from that day, Liberia had been destroyed. From that day, the belief of the people believing that what they see and what they have around them is theirs, and with all having no accountability of them having it of their own, I mean, we're in a big mess. So I'm going to say this again. We need leaders that will have a vision that are going to turn this country around. We're in a bad stage. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dishi. We can take it from on the other end.
Thank you. So we got 4 more minutes to go. So this will be the last caller here. Caller, what is your name and where you're calling from? 443 number.
Yes, good evening. This is Ali Masali from Maryland.
Ali Masali from Maryland. How you doing, my brother?
I'm fine, thank you. President Moore. Yeah, one time you said something, President Moore, and you said another one again today. You see, Liberia, we the Liberians, we are the only people in America and in other European countries who will say we're going back to Liberia to go and serve our country. And when we go back, nothing we can do but to join the people to destroy the country in corruption. Liberia, we are the only people who will come and learn after learning instead of offering job yet. No. We take our degree, we put it in suitcase and go back to Liberia with our suitcase degree. We say, oh yeah, because Liberia, the moment you go there, they say, oh, this person went to school in America. This man is a lender man. Nothing they take back but their suitcase degree to go and see. This is why you see today they got rid of John Money. Because John Money said, no problem, you can come to tell your country. What is your term of reference? Oh yeah, you get a degree, where you have worked, what's your qualification, what's your experience? The first party, your FPRC managing director, you are the first person you're not part of the Unity Party. You have not been on other years, and to tell what I agree with him. There are people that come there to learn, instead of them finding job, they will not do it, they get a degree, they put it in something and go back to Liberia. Because only in Liberia, you don't want to wear for suit, you go to wear somebody, oh, your boss can be on there, watching you, holding your grip, everything. Because America, that nonsense, yeah. My manager, you can see that John Brown call you John Brown. Let me call you personal John Brown. Let me to worship you. They see when you're working for your money, I'm working for my money.
Yeah.
And this is some of the things. Like,
thank you, my brother.
Even that Prophet Muhammad, Jesus Christ, our president, if we can't change the system in our culture, we are not going nowhere. We need to change the system. If we can't change the system, we are not going anywhere. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. So that was the last call.
Yeah, so we have Sarah. So I want for Sarah to just before the news people.
Yeah. Labor, let me say this just a 30 seconds. I enjoy the show. Hopefully we can repeat this again another day.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And you know, there's a reason why it is called normal day. At the time, a lot of people were normal.
If you come and say something to us,
Today, we have a lot of Liberians who are now normal. So it's a different time. To go back to normal day, we got to get normal people. Hopefully, our people get back to their normal senses. That's all I got to say.
Thank you. So, Sawa, just a time because no time. And
yeah, let me say thank you to Sktv people. Let me say thank you to people in radio and Liberian people. You just heard Theo Teku said it. Back in the days, we have normal people. You have to start being normal and stop being used by politicians and make informed decisions and be able to tell your leader and speak truth to your leaders. That is the only way the country will move forward. Thank you, and tomorrow we'll be here on Sktv again. This is how I say bye-bye.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Sarah's Mane and Seku and Monk. Let me say thanks to two of you can hold on a little bit. Maybe interact with our people on our side, speak to them. Yeah, before going off.
Well, the kind of a feedback I'm getting, I think we'll have to expand on the topic. I don't know if you guys will be willing, whether it's tomorrow or Monday, because there are a lot of people that try calling and they couldn't get through. So,
I don't know if we have time. I have Chairman Yato calling me. I have my Oma Miata.
Yeah, my Oma Miata too. She was in my inbox crying too.
Just for 1 minute each. Oh, they say no time. No time. I'm sorry. Maybe even.
Wow. I think we'll continue tomorrow. We will be part of the conversation. Yeah, tomorrow we'll expand on this topic.
Only want to say something to the people on Facebook and all the social media before we go, Chairman Yato. Okay.
Tomorrow I will participate in the process.
All right, you're live. From there, I'll go to my Oma.
Development, a country develops when the government works for everybody. Liberia has never in the history of Liberia been good to everybody. Was Tobo the best president? Absolutely. Oh man, you got to go in the numbers. What makes a country? In 1980, when Tobo was overthrown, do you know Liberia's population in 1980 was 1.5 million people? There were 700,000 children. Only 155,000 of them was in primary school. 1,000 in junior high and 22,000 in senior high. Okay, look at the stats. There were only 3 major paved roads in Liberia in 1980, from Monrovia to Buchanan, from Monrovia to Ganta, and from Monrovia to the Sierra Leone border.
Yep.
Okay, so if you lived in Monrovia, not Greater Monrovia, but Central Monrovia, yes, life was good for you. Oh man, you know, Melvin and myself, we're relatives. His father did very well. My father did very well. Both of our parents left Bassa, near the Rivers border, and were adopted by people in Monrovia. And because of that, they went to school, and both of them progressed. So Melvin and myself, we are now the direct beneficiary of the goodwill of people who were good to our parents. But Liberia has never been a good place. Tobo did extremely well, but it was not enough. Bassa,
I want to show.
County, had only about 1 high school, Bassa High. So tell me, if you're in district number 1 or district number 5, Riverside, there were no schools there. How many schools were in Sandals County? How many schools were in Nima County? It was Omer Boayu that opened up that central region. It was not for Omer Boayu. Nima and Bon County will have no schools. So we will discuss this.
Yeah, come on the show when the show is on, so that way people can benefit for all this information you're providing.
Yeah, we need you guys on the show when we're on the radio. Maybe tomorrow with the first half of the show. I don't know.
Yes, we'll do that. Thanks a lot.
All right, thank you so much. Let's get to my Oma here. Oma Miata Stella. Hello, Oma.
Yeah, I'm here. How you doing?
Yeah, unfortunately, maybe they couldn't stay. So we're talking to people now on Facebook and YouTube and other social media.
Yes, I realized that because it takes, messenger And I think that we should continue it for the rest of the week.
Okay.
Because what I was going to say, the people that want to hear it are not the people that are on Facebook or texting
YouTube
right now. It's just that the people that are on the radio, those are the partners that we want to listen. Even though they didn't get the opportunity to see the movie because they didn't have the minutes to keep on the phone to watch it. I like it, something like that during when we're doing campaign. I kept on focusing on. We need to show that kind of movie in different countries. Buy a broad screen TV. A broad screen. Show it, have a popcorn layer, something. The University of Liberia, even the professors that are there, they don't hear what we're talking about. That movie you showed, they never watch it. And these are supposed to be educators. That is very important because when you look at the basis of all of this, it boils down to education. It boils down to education. The people that we talk about, that the film show about, okay, those people were well learned. They went to school. They got degrees in their field. When they went to represent Liberia, they knew what they were talking about. Because they were knowledgeable, so they could represent Liberia for the United Nations to everything. The Christian continent, the people knew we were exporting those things. The business aspect, they knew that because of the education. Now, I would like to just like Mark and what he was saying, just tell the people about some of the.
Yeah, but Omar, it would be better for some of you to be available too, so you can talk with what people are listening. Okay, that's good. That's good.
Because I was in the 11th grade, working full time and going to school full time. That Duka Intercontinental Hotel, I was switchboard operator.
Wow.
At the Duka, I know Duka in and out. I know my vacation job during the summer time. They used to get student vacation job. You had my vacation job was in the operating room at JF Kennedy Medical Center.
Yeah. Yo.
I was working there.
Wow.
And I was going to school. I used to walk to school because my mom didn't have anything. So I used to walk from 18th Street, Cinco, to ADN school behind the YWCA in Colorado and walk back. You see? When we went to university, we went to university, it was based on your merit. If you took the exam, you passed both math and science, you got automatic scholarship. I had automatic scholarship and I had sports scholarship. I used to run track. So my little bit of cheese that I used to think about my things. That's simple. The traveling, y'all see me travel because we used to go to West African games. But we need the Liberian children then to hear it.
Oh, thank you. So, no problem. So yeah, so just make sure you guys be available to provide the education to the people that really need it the most. So hopefully you guys will be available tomorrow. Thank you so much. Okay. All right, Omar. Thank you so much. My people, I just came to receive calls, and the people that were running the show, they already left. One left, maybe one left. So we'll leave it there for today. Hopefully, I'll be on tomorrow with you guys. I really want to be up, on. The show tomorrow is very, very important, especially when it comes to history. Some of us, we are not as old as some of you may be, but some of us live to see some good stuff, No normal day. Some of us, we are normal people. Most of our kids nowadays, they are not normal. Their behavior are not normal. The way they think, the way they do things is completely different. And something I will talk about it tomorrow is that even those who understand what is going on, but they cannot say it because they are constrained by their party affiliation, the partisan politics. They believe, even if something is wrong, they believe they say it, that means they are going against their party. And the betterment of Liberia should go beyond and above any party line. It should be about the country. But you come here right now, you educating people about anything that got to do with Liberia. Those that are supporting the current government, they will think that you are. For them, they believe that it's emitting the direction of the country, that the country is heading in the wrong direction, admitting that they feel that's a failure of their government. So for them, it just has to be something good. If not, they will be ready to take a defensive posture to make sure that they defend their government regardless. So some of them, their brain is not what their brain are not working properly. They are not normal. We pray that really allow a change. And we'll always be here to support, our people, provide information for the listener and the viewership. And one day we'll get there. The woman that was just on the line, she said something almost years ago, not only 1 year. She's been saying it throughout before the election that Liberia problem is not politics, it's about education. And I think if we can continue to enlighten our people, one day we'll get there. Yeah, thank you. You have a blessed day.
There are things we can do. We bring in good news and we give it to you. We judge it for podcast and connecting people and culture from here and up out of the globe. Monitor people who willing to serve. Blessing that time and that effort are rest. The project is giving us here and the payment from them. The welcome and life without fear.
I lyrical health. Master.